Welcome in, everybody. Michigan State Spartans alive here on the Voice of College Football Network. I'm your host, Ryan Elke. Welcome in episode 7. Yeah, this has been doing this for about a month now, just about, and we're having fun, just diving into Michigan State off season and what the heck's going to happen here before football season gets going. So a lot to talk about. Today, we're going to touch on the floor and the ceiling for Michigan State this year. So we're going to play a little bit of the schedule game. We'll go through each one, and if you're looking just for other things to watch, as we're in the dead week of sports. We are. I mean, there's a lot to news to cover. We'll kind of touch on that here first before we dive in the floor and ceiling. But if you're just college football 27's out. Up on the channel right now, Michigan State VOCFB. We have simulations of Michigan State's season going on. So Toledo's up, Eastern Michigan just dropped. So if you need something in the background, the kids are watching the streamers and you're tired of what they're watching, just put this on. All those kids that are craving football or craving video games, it's a fun way. I'm the one. I'll catch myself watching these simulations. I never got what kids watching video games or people watching video games, but sometimes when you just need something on and there's no Guy Fieri show to pop on the TV, go to YouTube, Michigan State VOCFB, and watch the simulations. Just see what the video game is going to tell us. So games 1 and 2 are up now, Toledo and Eastern Michigan. So go check those out in the meantime. But before we get started into the floor and ceiling, it's hard to ignore what's going on to the people a little south of East Lansing there in Ann Arbor, because we thought we were going through a tumultuous offseason with the president leaving, then kind of not leaving, then coming back, our athletic director officially leaving for Kentucky, and now the stories of, coming out of Michigan State are like, yeah, we're really not going to miss him that much. So we thought we were having it bad, but the news coming out of Ann Arbor, granted, a lot of this news isn't new to us, of us just keeping tabs of what was happening, but their investigation is officially done. And it's kind of what we all expected, at least from, people that are outside looking into the blue wall. Like, this is kind of what we expected. Michigan, they cheated. Michigan, they covered up. Their athletic director, their president, telling them not to tell people anything. The affair that Sharon Moore is having, that the athletic director knew and was, banned Sharon Moore from having her travel with the team all the way back to 2024. I mean, none of this news is shocking. The shocking part of it is that nothing's probably going to happen of it. I mean, it's just what it is that's how they operate down there in Ann Arbor, and the people covering them, that they let it go by so they can still have access and, still ask the softball questions, because, I've been in those pressers down in Ann Arbor, being the visiting press, or even during like COVID times when everything was virtual and all the press breakouts were through Zoom. I remember trying to get in and ask a question, getting skipped over, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, so they could ask, like, how did you feel about it, Jim? How, giving those types when, no tough questions are allowed from anyone outside of people that follow the line, stand by the wall collectively. So it's no surprise that, Ward Manuel coming out today saying, that there's no buyout to be expected. I'm not getting fired. That just affects me and my family. I mean, the man's dealt with how much scandals through his decade of work. I mean, you all seen the list. It's like 25 deep. I mean, Michigan State's getting hell in the press just for our president coming back. They're digging up, finding faculty members that are perturbed by President Gusowitz being back. But, the athletic director and president are covering up cheating scandals and affairs, and it's crickets, because, they're not going to even entertain us asking the questions or answering those questions. So we're not surprised. Is anyone that's outside of that bubble in Ann Arbor, we're not surprised of probably what's going to happen, and it's that nothing's probably going to happen. What's interesting is the lawsuit coming from their former coach, Chris Partridge, that kind of spells out, the cover up of it all. But anyone with half a brain could kind of see what was going on there in Ann Arbor. We weren't dumb. We were called, rent free Sparty. Always talking about us. It's like, you're the national news guys. Like, you're number one in the poll. What do you expect us to talk about in 2023? You want to, like, we had plenty to talk about. We were talking about our own coach being fired for his own affair. Like, we had to deal with that as soon as there was signs of it. Like, Alan Haller, like, called the press conference, said, "Hey, we got enough evidence. It falls in line under this part of his contract. He's gone. No more." Like that. Haller moved quick when our coach was having the scandalous affair. And say what you want, it's like, oh, they're trying to get out of 84, paying Tucker $80 million. It's like, hell yeah, we were. It's like, you're not a good coach and you're doing this on the side. Yeah, be gone. Like, there's no two bones about it. There was no trying to make amends for, especially for a coach that's not doing well. Like, it's unfathomable that, Michigan, the schools in that tier just, plead ignorance every time something like this pops up. So it's remarkable, but will we be shocked if nothing happens out of Ann Arbor? No big waves, just some few minor people move along. Like, the top lawyers already left Michigan, is off to Stanford. I think the top dietitian for the football team is leaving as well. Like, they'll make some minor moves, but there's going to be no real course of action. That's never how it works. So enough about that school. We're here for Michigan State Spartans Live. That was just getting on my chest because, I've been on X, been on the Twitter machine, seeing all the same talking points from the same type of fans that always happen. And, even on the morning show I was working out today, Spin on Sports, talked about, would you rather cheat as much as Michigan did and win, or would you rather run a clean program and you don't win anything? And it's like, so yeah, I'd rather win. We saw it. We witnessed it. It's like, you're the only guys pounding your chest about it. Everyone else just kind of pushes you to the side. So is what it is. I like how, Tom Izzo runs his program. He's got a championship in the bag. There's no two bones about it. People have tried to tear him down. It ain't happening. As for the football program, it hasn't been great as of late. They've torn themselves down. But when Mark D'Antonio was at the helm, it was something to be damn proud of. It is proud to be a Spartan, to be a Spartan fan, and to have the culture that we have. It is coming in, doing the work, and doing it the right way. Cheaters will be caught. We know that. Hell, I think Jim Harbaugh, that was a quote of his, trying to pin all the cheating on Ryan Day. That the cheaters will be caught. Well, they're caught now. So, moving on though. That's the news for the day. That's the hot topic right now. I know the Wall Street Journal just kind of came out with their article outlaying everything, and it's nothing new, but I believe Justin Spiro kind of pointed it out on X. It's not going to be anything groundbreaking. It's just going to be more filling in the details. So that's enough talking about them. Let's talk about the floor and the ceiling for Michigan State this year, because there's a wide range for the Spartans this year. It's not like we're coming in like, hey, these are the games we know we're going to win. These are the games we know we're going to lose. For Michigan State and the program where we are right now and where we're at, there's a lot of in between. So let's pop the schedule up right now. And there's the fun graphic from earlier. So Toledo, Eastern, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, Northwestern, UCLA, Michigan, Washington, Oregon, Rutgers. So let's go game by game. So obviously the first two chalk up as wins. Even in the whether you're going very pessimistic, very optimistic, Toledo breaking in a new coach. Jason Candle left for UConn. If it was a Jason Candle led team, I think there'd be something to be a little more nervous about. Excuse me there. I'm getting choked up talking about Jason Candle. Great coach, great person. But if Jason Candle was there, it'd be a game to be more worried about. But a MAC school breaking in a new coach, there's nothing to sweat about. So even in our wildest fantasies, Michigan State starting 1-0 on September 4th, the Friday night special to start this game out. And then Eastern on the 12th of September, nice 3:30 BTN special, which us Spartan fans have come to love. Chris Creighton is a fine coach. Noah Kim is back at the quarterback. The start of three QBs, former QBs, Michigan State will face. Eastern, nothing to be scared of. And same with this third game, no matter optimistic, pessimistic, I think we're all kind of pinning the same thing. Notre Dame on the road. Yeah, we're chalk it up as a loss. So even in our floor and our ceiling, we're sitting at 2-1. Now these next few games, this is where the floor and the ceiling, diverge quite a bit. You have Nebraska at home, Wisconsin on the road, Illinois at home. For those three games are all winnable. If you're going to the ceiling, you're winning all three. You're bouncing back. You're coming back home from Notre Dame. You're taking on Nebraska. You fought close to them last year till it got out of hand late. Like that's a team, especially in Spartan Stadium, you should be taken care of. So on the floor side, you're losing that game because of inexperience. We're seeing the same issues pop up as we have seen the last few years. So we're on the floor side, we're sitting at 2-2. Ceiling side, we're winning that game. We're 3-1. So we'll continue with the floor side because I want to get this done out of the way. Don't want to be as pessimistic. We can have fun more at the ceiling. So on the floor, right now we're 2-2, traveling to Wisconsin, a road game, tough environment, jump around happening. You lose that one, all of a sudden, you're looking at 2-3. Illinois comes in, Brett Bielema team, not fun. A very sound football team, Caton Hauser there. You lose that game, you're sitting at 2-4. I think Northwestern got to chop that up as a win. I'm putting it as a win even on the floor side. So you're sitting at 3-4. Then a tough stretch. UCLA at home or on the road. You saw what they did to this coming into East Lansing last year. Michigan on the road. You do get a bye week in between there, but those are two losses. So you're sitting there, 3-5 right now? 3-5. And then Washington at home, Oregon at home, 3-7, Rutgers at home to close the season. 4-8 is probably the floor to this team, is what I'm putting the floor of this team. I mean, you've seen how many the last few seasons, 5-7, 4-8. Like that seems to be the bottoming out point, hopefully, for Michigan State. So for the floor part of, hey, if what can go wrong will go wrong, I'm still putting 4 wins on the board with Rutgers, Northwestern, Eastern and Toledo. It's not going to be that fun break-in season for Fitzgerald if Alessio doesn't progress, if that offensive line doesn't stay healthy, the defense, as thin as it is on the line, just can't keep up. Like, those are the reasons of concerns. The wide receiver core, I mean, and Courtney Hawkins we trust, but if it's just Krishan McCray, we get Collier mixed in, there's not a lot of depth there. So if we're talking about floor, we're talking about 4-8, but that's not the fun conversation. The conversation that we always have in July, we have in August is, hey, what's the best thing that could happen this year? What is the best possible outcome for our team? Like, we always put on our fan goggles, we have fun, and we can talk ourselves into wins. So I was saying earlier, like, Toledo, we're putting a win. Eastern Michigan, a win. I think even in our funnest, wildest dreams, I still don't think we're going into South Bend and taking a win in our wildest dreams. I'm not there yet. Maybe I will when some more practice film comes out. We see the nice, spiral videos coming from Alessio. We see Cam Edwards making some cuts. But I think Notre Dame is just too far ahead right now. And with this schedule, I think the ceiling for this team can go quite well for Pat Fitzgerald. Because after Notre Dame, you're sitting at 2-1. Then we get Nebraska at home on September 26th. And that should be a win. I think Nebraska, despite what the high you think of Matt Rule is, we kind of know, and they're breaking in a new quarterback. Raiola took off and went to Oregon, and so Nebraska breaking in a new quarterback, that could go wrong for them. So chalk that up as a win. 3-1. Wisconsin, Luke Fickell, the man that got away supposedly from East Lansing. Things haven't gone great for Luke Fickell. It's kind of, we knew, they said or the old Denny Green quote, we knew who they thought they were, and then walk out of here with the win. Like, Luke Fickell is proving to just be the kind of mundane, average college football coach. There's, when he gets to these Big Ten schools, there's nothing special about these teams. What he did in Cincinnati was great, but his year at Ohio State, what he's done in Wisconsin hasn't been. So if we're going for the ceiling, we're marking it as a win, and all of a sudden, we're sitting there first weekend of October, 4-1 on the season, 2-0 in Big Ten play. And then you get to take on Illinois, but you get to take them on at home. And Illinois is one of those teams. It just feels like they can play to their competition. Like, there's nothing that will blow us away about Illinois, but there's nothing that says we're going to rout you either. It's a Brett Bielema team. It's not quite Wisconsin level Brett Bielema, but it's also like, it's the stigma is like, it's Illinois football. It feels like we should be able to take a win there. And being at home, like Katon Hauser starting, like another former quarterback, like, if we're sitting there fantasizing, putting the ceiling on this, that's another win. That's 3 straight wins for Michigan State, 5-1. And then you welcome in Northwestern, another former quarterback, Aiden Chiles starting, another game in East Lansing. And that's another 4 straight wins, 4-0 to start the Big Ten, 6-1 to start the season. That's great. Things could look great right here. So we're through that top, just in the start of the bottom line there, the schedule. Toledo win, 1-0. Eastern win, 2-0. Notre Dame, no matter what the ceiling is, I'm still putting that as a loss. Pretty much an auto loss. Maybe I'm hedging my own feelings there, but that's where I put it, 2-1. Then rattling off 4 straight victories puts us at 6-1. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Going out west to UCLA, as much fun as I'd love to put, a win for Michigan State. Michigan State going out west never goes well. It just never happens. It just doesn't happen for us. It's just not fun. And the way um, we got torn up last year, I mean, UCLA was coming in just not great, and we crapped the bed. So going out west, I think. See, I'm gonna put that as a loss. So 6-2, 4-1 in the Big Ten going into your bye week on Halloween weekend. I mean, what a blessing also for Spartan fans and the students to get Halloween night off. Halloween on a Saturday this year. No football game to affect our mood going in. You know what? 6-2, 4-1 in the Big Ten going into Michigan week. And that game's in Ann Arbor where we're talking ceiling. Like, we just don't know. We know Michigan will be a solid team, but outside of that, like even last year, we were in that game in East Lansing. You know, we had the offsides from Jordan Hall that kind of changed the whole aspect of that game and turned it around for Michigan to propel themselves to kind of pull away. So we don't know what Bryce Underwood's going to be. We don't know how Kyle Whittingham's going to work out at Michigan. You know, we've seen a West Coast coach try to come over here, implement that style, implement that personality. It didn't go well. Could go the same for Michigan. So in our ceiling, I'm putting a win for Michigan State going in Ann Arbor. So right now, sitting 5-1 in the Big Ten, 7-2 overall, probably, you know, getting in the rankings there. So far, great season for Pat Fitzgerald, year one. And then Washington, that's another tough one, but you're at home. This one, like, I might put as a loss. Like, I think this is where, especially coming off a rivalry win, you know, the highest of highs for Michigan State football right now. You're going 7-2, beating Michigan, 5-1 in the Big Ten. Put a loss on Washington, and I think Oregon probably lost there as well. You know, the two other West Coast teams you're facing, they are coming to East Lansing. Oregon could be a little bit of a trap game, though. I'm not going to I don't want to pencil Oregon as an auto loss, mainly because of Oregon's schedule. There's Jeff Schwartz, you know, former NFL lineman, went to Oregon, you know, very active on Twitter. He's like, that's Oregon's trap game right there is Michigan State Friday night, you know, on Fox in East Lansing. Oregon's coming off 7 straight games going into Michigan State. Like, that is a chance. And we've seen the last few years, even though Michigan State hasn't been, you know, great, they've given Oregon a little bit of fits. You know, they haven't gone the Spartans' way, but we've given the Ducks a little bit of a fit. So Oregon has a chance to be another fun way to get back on track. So in my ceiling, though, I'm going to put it as a loss because I'm going to respect Dan Lanning. That's 2 straight losses coming off of Michigan. You're, 7-3 right now. We have 2 wins there, 2-1, 6-1, 6-2, 7-2. So 7-4 going into Rutgers, 7-4, and Rutgers to close out the season November 28th, 8-4. You know, 8-4 I think is the ceiling of this team with a potential of 9-3. You know, I think you could pop off Oregon or like one of the West Coast teams. I think those are the 3 other losses outside Notre Dame I put on there. But tell me, you know, shoot me in the comments. What's your ceiling for Michigan State football this year? I think 8-4 could be a ceiling, kind of getting back into the rankings. You know, maybe after beating Michigan with what their record is, kind of flirting in those playoff rankings. It'd be fun to kind of have Michigan State just pop up on the outside looking in of how the schedule may fall for us. Like, we don't have Penn State on the schedule. We don't have Ohio State. Like, we get Oregon at home coming off 7 straight. We only go out west once to UCLA. Like, no USC on this schedule. So for this, like, that's why the ceiling can be 8-4, 9-3, because things break out nicely for Pat Fitzgerald in year one. And as for, the road games, you have Ann Arbor, UCLA, Wisconsin, and Notre Dame. 4 road games. Like that, it's a great look for Michigan State, and I think we could have a lot of fun. Just it'd just be nice to have fun again. Like, could some other things happen where we fall in the middle of that, 4-8, 8-4, and wind up 6-6? Of course, like I was maybe too laissez-faire with the Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, Northwestern stretch, but like that's a good stretch for this team with only one road game in that 4, and that's just going to Wisconsin. Like that's not a bad trip. And then your one West Coast trip is UCLA this year, and you get a bye week after, heading into rivalry week. So no matter how that game goes, if Michigan State pulls off the win, that's great. You have a week to cool down to ramp back up for Michigan. If things don't go well out west for UCLA, you still get to come home, take a week to kind of get that bad taste out of your mouth and get ready for Michigan. Like, the schedule lines up really nice for Michigan State this year, to where I think, I'm sitting more towards the ceiling side than the floor side, because of, if this was a Jonathan Smith-esque team, how we're feeling about that team. It's not gonna be a great feeling sitting. It's like we just had whatever that virus is going around that they're trying to pin on Taco Bell. Like, it gives the bubble gut, but like, he's gone. That man is gone. That apathetic man, we got rid of him. And I think there's a lot to be hopeful for here for Michigan State year 1 of Pat Fitzgerald. Who knows what year 2 will bring, how the schedule will break, how the transfer portal will fall. But for year 1, you start out with 2 MAC teams. You win your mini MAC championship there, beating Toledo and Eastern. Notre Dame's a tough break, but it's nice to have Battle of the Megaphone back, having Notre Dame back on our schedule. Then those 4 Big Ten teams to start Big Ten play, like Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, Northwestern. Those can be tough games, but those are all winnable. Like, you wouldn't, if you're talking to a generic college football fan, said, "Hey, can Michigan State go 4-0?" Like, they're gonna say, "Yeah, it's possible," because it is. It's also possible Michigan State could not have a fun time those 4 games, things could spiral, but that'd be the feeling under Jonathan Smith. Fitzgerald, I have a little more faith with. UCLA's a tough one. It's just any time going out west for Michigan State just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. It's not fun that we have to do one trip now out west. It was bearable, once every 10 years going out west. That's okay. We can live with that. Now, once a year trip at least, not good for MSU, but just the one West Coast trip, because you get to bring in Washington and bring in Oregon, and Oregon's coming in a tough spot and coming in on a Friday night, going from west to east. Like, the opportunity's right there. And maybe I'm not showing enough respect to Rutgers, but I'm feeling everyone in the Big Ten outside of Rutgers doesn't show respect to Rutgers. So it's one of those things that it comes to it. Like, the ceiling can be all the way as high as 9-3, and probably outside looking in of a playoff spot. Because they will bring up the schedule and that their toughest games that they lost, but my outlook for MSU this year is pretty dang high. Like, I'm in kind of putting the schedule down. Like, when the schedule comes out, we have our fun, we look at it, and then we kind of forget about it for a little bit. But now that we're getting closer here, games, 6 weeks away, 7 weeks away, like, I'm starting to get that itch again about Michigan State football, and looking at the schedule to quote John Gruden, has me feeling nicey. Like, everything's on the table for Michigan State to be something special this year. So I'm excited to get things started. But that will be it for Michigan State Spartans Live, episode 7. If you missed anything, hey, just rewind it, catch up. We talked about, what was going down with our rivals and, their scandals report where probably nothing will happen because nothing ever happens there. And touched on the floor and ceiling for Michigan State heading into the 2026 season and why there's reason to, be excited about this season coming up, because it looks like the schedule could break our way. We just need the players in Pat Fitzgerald to hold up their end of the bargain. So we're live every Tuesday and Thursday on YouTube. Michigan State VOCFB, excuse me. We're live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. We're also live on Facebook on the Voice of College Football Facebook page. You can also check us out there. All the other schools, their shows are thrown up live there all day long. So I'm trying to get an insight of what's going on with the teams on our schedule. Check them out. We'll also be bringing them on throughout the season so we can get an insight of how they're feeling about their team, how we're feeling about our team. Kind of get inside scoop there. If you want to, leave a topic idea, leave a comment, shoot one in the video here. Find me on Twitter, RyanEL_key, and we'll get things rolling along. So we'll be back Thursday night, 9 p.m., episode 8. Closing in 4 weeks in. So I want to thank everyone that's subscribed, everyone that's watched these videos. The views kind of steadily growing. Appreciate that. And we got the College Football 27 simulations going on. Games 1 and 2 are out. Toledo is out. Eastern just dropped a couple days ago. Take a quick look at those, kind of have that in the background, especially this week being the dead week in sports. MLB All-Star Game going on right now at the moment, but tomorrow and Thursday, we got nothing. So we'll wrap it up from here. We'll catch you Thursday, 9 p.m., right here at Michigan State Spartans Live on the Voice of College Football Network. Go Green.